So erotic confidence is not just confidence in how sexy you are, but whatever it is about you that's sexually appealing. Whether that's how you do a specific thing or something about how you come across, maybe it's your style, maybe it's that thing you do with your hands. Maybe it's something less directly related to sex, something that is a creative outlet for you. But all of those things come together to form your idea of how sexy you are as a person, your sense of sexiness and confidence and comfort within yourself. And the reason that that's so important is because erotic confidence is separate from just thinking of yourself as a physically attractive person or as somebody who is charismatic. Erotic confidence is knowing that there is something about you that is so compelling that other people have got to have it. And that's so important because humans are a very social species, and we're a little bit more herd-like than any of us really want to admit. So one of the main ways that people make decisions unconsciously is by looking to the people around them for cues. This is something that kept us safe, all those millennia ago, looking around, seeing what the other people around you were reacting to, seeing how they were reacting to a piece of new information, a new person, something that could be potentially a threat. This was how we stayed safe. This was how we made decisions. And so when somebody is making a decision about a new person in their life, or when they're evaluating somebody that they know in a different way, maybe starting to consider somebody as a potential sexual partner, or as a potential romantic partner, or some combination of the two, then what they're looking for is signals from other people. And those other people in question does include the person that it is that they're making the decision about. Absolutely, James, and that's what we're getting to next. So a lot of times when we have a lot of questions about our self-worth, when we have a period of self-doubt in our lives, or when we're just not feeling like we have much to offer in that given moment, the way that we express ourselves is going to be different. We'll show signals of uncertainty, we'll show signals of nervousness. And the other person that is trying to get a read off of us, they're not necessarily going to know that we have low self-worth that particular day because we're dealing with a depression flare-up. Good luck with your doctor's visit. You'll be able to catch the replay later. But you might be going through a depression flare-up, or you might be dealing with some stress at work. They don't know that. All they see is the nervousness. All they see is uncertainty. And since a lot of times people will telegraph these cues when they're doing something that could be a risk to somebody's personal safety, somebody who is maybe not necessarily super smooth about those things, if they're nervous, it's because they know that you have reason not to trust them, even if you don't actually know that yet. And so somebody who is nervous while making an overture might be nervous because you should be nervous. And so a lot of people will pick up on that nervousness and they will mirror that nervousness. This is usually something that happens below the conscious level. Some people do make that evaluation consciously. But where that puts a lot of people who have depression or anxiety or are just dealing with some low self-esteem at a disadvantage is you're sending off signals of nervousness not because something is actually wrong, but because you're afraid that something is wrong. This in turn tells the other person that they need to be worried that something is wrong. And so even if every other piece of information that they're getting from you is telling them to trust you, and that you're somebody that they're interested in, and that you're somebody who can, meet their needs without running up against any of their hard limits. That uncertainty is going to cause them to hesitate, to maybe not be the first to make the initial move. It will cause them to maybe hem and haw a little bit more than they otherwise would over an invitation. Whereas if you have erotic confidence, your entire presence changes, your demeanor changes. There's this sense of being very centered in yourself and very calm and very confident that people will signal unconsciously when they are in a place of erotic confidence. Maybe you went to a play party the night before and you got mad laid. Maybe you are just feeling particularly cute. You got a new haircut and you look good. Maybe you did a deep dive into some really profound personal growth work, and you're just feeling really solid in your partnership skills and in what you have to offer other people. But when you're feeling that, you come across as somebody who isn't worried about what the person in front of you thinks of you. The nervousness is less likely to be there. Tension might still be there, but tension and nervousness, while similar flavors, aren't quite the same thing. And that's a topic for another live. But this particular time, it's really important to focus on the difference between tension and nervousness, because when you're confident, but you're experiencing erotic tension with somebody, what comes across is heightened focus, heightened interest in them, an attentiveness to their subtle movements. You'll be mirroring each other back and forth, which is the other reason that erotic confidence is so powerful and so key. The more of it you bring forward, the more the other person who will be unconsciously mirroring you if you're in dialogue will start to feel their own erotic confidence shine. This is what is so powerfully sexy about people with erotic confidence, is they make the people around them feel sexy and desirable too, even if they aren't completely sure why that is. So one thing that you can do that is really powerful and kind of a quick shortcut way to tap into your erotic self-confidence when it's feeling a little bit low is to, and one thing that I really like to do for this is actually to go ahead and make a playlist that is just your, the playlist that you listen to when you're just really feeling yourself that day, when you're feeling really attractive and yummy and awesome. So start thinking of songs that make you feel that way, that make you feel sexy, that make you feel attractive, or they make you feel just really confident. And make a playlist of those. And while you're listening to those, start thinking about what you would be like if you were a sexy superhero. What your superpowers would be, what your look would be, your signature phrases, anything that conveys what your sexual self would be like if you were edited, maybe made a little bit, taking the traits that make you you and dialing them up a little bit more. Because when somebody is getting to know us as a new person, they're not going to get to see every nuance right away. They're going to get to know those things about you over time. What they're looking for when you're making a first impression is they're looking for enough of a quick thumbnail sketch of who it is that you are as a person. Hell yes, Jenna. That they know whether or not you are their flavor. So you can't give them every piece of information about you right away, but what you can give them is the hook, enough to show them, okay, so if you really like people who are cerebral sadists, then I have the flavor that you want. Or if you are somebody who really enjoys playfully innocent bratty bottoms, or, you know, whatever it is that your particular flavor of sexy is. But the more clearly you can telegraph this to other people, the easier it is to tap into your confidence, and the easier it is for the people who are into your flavor of person to go, okay, yes, there they are. This is exactly who it is that I'm hoping to hook up with, that I'm hoping to date. So be thinking about some of the things that either you think are really sexy about yourself, or things that other people, maybe previous partners, maybe friends, have said are attractive about you. And this doesn't have to be sexually attractive. This can be any flavor of attractive. Maybe it's that you're a good listener. Maybe it's that you have really nice eyes. Maybe it's that you have the type of ass that looks amazing in a good pair of jeans. Whatever it is about you, find ways to not only highlight it, but appreciate it about yourself. And this is where it starts to really ride the edge for a lot of people who maybe are dealing with some self-confidence or some self-worth. But actually take some time out of the day, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I would recommend starting at 1 to 2 minutes, because even early on, that's going to feel like an edge. But once you can handle doing it that far, try to bump it up to 5. But spend some time every day, if you can, and try to pick a time where you can work it into your routine. So maybe while you're getting ready for your day, or maybe as you're winding down at night. But set aside some time specifically to appreciate the things about you that are sexy and yummy and attractive. This is my tiny cat's tail. You might see parts of the actual cat, but she'll stay just below the viewing line. But the more you take the time to acknowledge and appreciate those aspects of yourself, the closer they'll be to the surface when you need to draw upon them to project that confidence outward. The other cool thing about being able to project your erotic confidence out is that when you're in a room full of people and someone is trying to get a sense of you, and this is where it starts to get a little bit woo, but people get a sense of your presence, and one thing that they gauge is how far out you project yourself. Some people keep their energy, their presence, their ability to make a first impression on somebody really, really close to the skin. So they try to be invisible in a room, or they don't like to speak up. They don't like having attention focused on them, and they don't have body language that would cause them to be the center of attention in any way. They try to minimize their presence. They try to minimize the space that they take up, almost self-erasing. And that makes it harder for other people to get a sense of them, which makes it harder to get the no like trucks factor going. Whereas when somebody has a really loud, big presence, there's a point at which that can feel really good and help people feel really safe, because they can assess you very quickly. They can decide whether or not they like your flavor quickly. And there is a point at which people can project themselves outward with such force that it occurs to other people as pushiness. So there's definitely a happy medium there, and it's individual for every person. But see if you can practice controlling how far out you project your personal presence. If you feel like you could be a little bit more confident, put yourself into the world a little bit more, try that. Try extending your personality a few more inches outward from your skin at a time. If you feel like people are responding from you as though you are responding to you as though you are more aggressive or more assertive than you feel that you're being, then try reeling it back just a little bit, just that enough that the other individuals feel like they're getting the space to make a decision about you. And that doesn't have to be a whole lot of space. You don't have to overcorrect. Just dialing it back really slowly will sometimes give people the chance to go, okay, I do feel good about this person. I'm ready to step back into their field. I'm ready to get more of their presence. But the more of you project outwards, the easier it is for people to get a sense of who you are as a person, the easier it is for people to decide whether or not this is somebody that they want to play with or that they're attracted to. So not only are you helping people make a quick decision and also more quickly able to see who is and who isn't attracted to you, but one of the things that you're doing when you project your erotic confidence outwards is you're creating a beacon, and you're actually signaling to all the people who like your flavor, you know, here I am, come and get it. Oh, thanks, Emily. And that's really powerful because a lot of times there are people out there who like to engage in the dance of finding a partner in different ways. Some people really like to seek other people out. They like being in the driver's seat in that way, and this doesn't necessarily correlate to BDSM roles. You can have somebody who really likes to be the one to seek their partners out, who is submissive all the way, and vice versa. You can have somebody who likes people to come to them, who is very much a dominant and who sort of has the whole spider and the fly thing going on, where they lure you slowly into their web, and then there you are. 3 guesses which style is my favorite. But when you're signaling who you are and the type of sexy that you are, the flavor of erotic confidence that you have, the flavor of sexual and romantic personality that you have, that means that the people who are seekers can come find you, and the people who want you to come to them can signal in return that they are interested in being pursued, which just reduces the stress level of finding somebody that you're compatible with by such a huge factor. Because sexual personality often correlates to what your style is, the things that you like in bed, the ways that you like to interact with other people. It also tends to overlap with how you relate to romantic partners. We do need to meet. I think we're actually connected on Facebook already, but yes, we definitely need to have a catch-up chat. And thank you so much. That means a lot. And that actually brings up a really important point. Sorry, my little lady cat is joining us. So I'm doing the evil supervillain thing. But women, femmes, and anyone who is read as female or is female adjacent will often experience being shut down for expressing their sexuality, or their expressing sexuality openly can feel terrifying because it's often seen as a way to excuse things like sexual assault or sexual harassment. And that can have a tremendous muffling impact. Conversely, people who are read as male more often than not will often experience not only the pressure to be in the driver's seat, even if that is nowhere near where they actually want to be, but the idea of stepping into erotic power can feel hugely intimidating, because that can then sometimes bring up ideas of power over. And there's this huge fear of being seen as a predator, or being seen as a monster or a beast, or somebody who can't keep themselves under control. And so there's this huge edge in a way that is often very gendered around stepping into personal power around sex and self-expression around sex, doing it in a way that doesn't scare the people around us, doing it in a way that feels safe to the people who we want to feel safe around us. And that is one of those things that really needs to be dialed in on an individual level. It's so hard to generalize when it comes to that, because there's usually something very specific that an individual can do. And so that's actually something to get one-on-one about. But in terms of general guidelines, the thing that I found super helpful is to keep in mind that our dominance, our ability to express our sexual power and to take control in a sexual way is not something that is evil or wrong or monstrous by default. It's something that can be misused, just like any type of power. And it's also something that can be tremendously welcomed and that can be beneficial, again, just like any type of power. And so if you're using your erotic power to lead your dance partner through an experience that leaves you both breathless and excited and happy and fulfilled, that is absolutely a use of power that is worthwhile and appreciated and frequently craved, because that gives the person that you're with permission to let go into the experience, which is something that is all too rare. And yes, it's absolutely true that sometimes people will feel threatened by somebody with a lot of erotic power, with a lot of erotic confidence. And that's true of anybody who makes themselves visible in the world in some way, whether that's by taking a stand for something specific or making themselves a presence in their field, or even just doing things that stand out a little bit in their friend group. Anytime you set yourself apart in some way by claiming your personal power, there are some people who are going to see that as a threat. But the cool thing about erotic confidence is that over time, it gives all the people around you permission to do the same, to show that aspect of themselves. And so if you stay centered in the things that you feel are sexy and compelling and powerful about you, over time, that does give the people around you permission to do the same thing, even if initially they react with hostility. And honestly, anytime that we go through any type of change, take it from the trans person, anytime you go through any kind of noticeable change, there will be people around you who will react with hostility, because change can be unsettling, it can be upsetting, it can alter the way that you think about somebody, the way that you relate to somebody. But the cool thing about change is that, again, take it from the trans person, people do adjust. They get used to things. They get used to your new way of being in the world. And so if you can hold steady and be compassionate without budging for a few months, then what happens is they go, okay, this isn't so bad after all. This is, this is still the person that I knew. They're just showing up in a new way now. And that means that I get to relate to them in a new way. And after a few months have passed, usually they've had a chance to get some practice and, go through their initial fear responses or anger responses and then come around to relating to you as you again. Only now they're relating to a you that is amplified, that has your volume turned up, that is more radiantly you. And because they know this about you now, that means that the referrals that they give you for people that you might be interested in dating or people that might be good play partners for you will be more accurate because you're putting more of who you are and what you want out there into the world. So if you want to have happier relationships, if you want your partner to respond to you sexually more often, if you want to meet new play partners, new people to date, get in touch with your juicy core, with the aspects of you which are compelling, which are magnetizing, which are sexy as hell. And again, this doesn't have to be physical. This can be something about you that is intangible, like your sense of humor or your ability to craft a scene that leaves your partner feeling really fantastic. Or maybe it's your ability to do something creative that is in no way related to sex. Maybe you are a fantastic artist. Maybe you have a knack for picking out just the right dirty text to send to somebody when they are having a hell of a day, to completely turn it around for them. Whatever that thing is for you, spend some time, spend a couple minutes a day focusing on the things that you feel are sexy about yourself or that other people have told you are sexy. Make it a part of your routine. Do it every morning or do it in the middle of the day when you're going to the restroom and doing any touch-ups that you want to do, or do it at night when you're unwinding and getting ready for bed. But make it a part of your routine to appreciate your own sexiness. Have that playlist of songs that make you feel sexy and confident and hot. Listen to it and really get into it. Notice how you walk, how you move when you feel sexy, because this is something that can be as individual as a fingerprint, but once you know in your body what sexy feels like, then it's easier to project that outward into the world. So thank you all so much for joining me this morning/afternoon for some of you. Next time we are going to be talking about dominance and how to tap into your personal dominant power. Have a really great rest of your day.